And welcome to the Howard Eskin Show, another show with another terrific guest, and we will talk to former head coach and Hall of Fame head coach Dick Vermeil shortly. First, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Stillwell Financial Advisors, and Jeff Stillwell. If you have any money in the changing financial world that we live in more than anything now, Jeff Stillwell knows his stuff, knows how to get ahead of the game, and I would suggest that you talk to him and just to kind of get an idea of what you may want to do. Give him a call at Jeff Stillwell 732-343-0813. All right, on the show tonight, obviously we're going to talk to Dick Vermeil. Afterwards, AJ Brown's at it again, and we'll deal with that. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. The Sixers, fool's gold that the Sixers are passing along. I'm going to make a prediction. I've said this before. I think the Flyers win I've said this. The Flyers are going to win a championship. I don't know that it's anytime soon before the Sixers, but I'll deal with that shortly. And there's a lot of things that I do want to. A lot of things I want to talk to Dick Vermeil about. But before we do that, I want to tell you about a great deal going on at Audi Westchester. The percent, where are you going to get that financing at 3.99% for up to 72 months on the new redesigned A5 and the A5 sedan? And then 1.99% financing up to 72 months on the Q5 SUV. Great deals on those vehicles. And there's another thing. You got going. If in fact you go in there, you work out your deal, and you figure, you talk to them, you sit down, you work out your deal, and then they say, "Hey, I want the 500 off," and mention Claudio after you work out your deal, Claudio 500. And you work out your deal, you say, "I want the Claudio 500. He's your sales manager," and you get another 500 off. Audi Westchester, 1421 Wilmington Pike. And I'm throwing in something. You'll get a hold of me for that. If in fact you do purchase a vehicle, one of these vehicles from Audi Westchester, I will throw in a Mike Schmidt autographed baseball. You'll get in touch with me and I'll send it out to you. 1421 Wilmington Pike is the location. Fun people, fun to look at new cars. And don't forget about all these deals going on. Check it all out. AudiWestchester.com. Also, if you want to do some work on your backyard or you want to build a pool, whatever it is, Piazza Property Pros. 25 years of experience. They don't subcontract. So whether it's a pool you want to build, pool maintenance, excavation, fencing, landscaping, whatever it is, they're going to do, at least I know, and you should know, they're going to do a great deal. Give them a call, 610-566-2608, 610-566-2608, or check them out at piazzaoutdoor.com. All right. A very special guest tonight. Actually, they're all special because a lot of knowledge, 15 years of head coaching experience, and that would be former head coach and Hall of Famer. That would be Dick Vermeil, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2022. Congratulations on that. I had a fun time when I was out there seeing you get inducted. 15 years of coaching, and in the NFL, 15 years in the NFL, more than that, coaching. And you started out with the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, a couple of things. You tomorrow will give a eulogy on the general manager that hired you for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. It's open to the public. A memorial service at the Pavilion at Villanova, 5:30, and it's open to the public for Jim Murray, a wonderful, wonderful human being. And Dick, we will drink to your appearance.
Thank you.
I hope the vineyards. I can't drink the whole bottle. I can share it with
not in one setting. I hope.
No, not in one sitting. But yeah, you got a lot of things going on. All right. So now, let's deal with the first thing. Your observations The Eagles banged out all of 10 points on Monday night against the Green Bay Packers. They kicked their ass, boy, 10-7. Your observations, just a general right now, and we'll get into specifics. Your observations on the win by the Eagles on Monday night.
Well, first off, I usually started as a head coach, and I do now as a fan evaluator. Is you give credit to Green Bay's defense. Yeah, they played well. They played hard, just like our defense played well and held them to 7 points. So we won that battle. But so far they haven't been as productive on offense. And what really happens is they spoil us from how good they were last year. And it's hard to match those standards 2 years in a row. The opponents, the defensive coordinators, they're paying those guys $4 and $5 million a year now. They're working hard at stopping the best. And I think they've done a good job of improving their schemes to meet an offense the caliber of our guys. And we've been banged up in the offensive line. We've got a new offensive coordinator breaking and working with Nick. So I think all those things make a difference in the production. Sometimes you've just played better defensive football teams the first 8 or 9 games of the season you did last year too. Whenever you measure NFL stats, it can be really uh, misleading because maybe you haven't played the top 5 defenses in football. Then all of a sudden, when you do, you don't look as good offensively. You always have to give the opponent credit for doing what you'd like to do on your own defensive team. So within your own defensive team, but they're not as good a football team offensively. That's the easiest way to put it. Okay.
Okay, the offense appears to struggle at times. I mean, in the NFL, to only score 3 points going into the fourth quarter, it's almost unheard of, especially for a team that has the record the Eagles have. So, what do you think are the challenges, or the struggles that they're having on offense?
Well, I think they're having a hard time maintaining drives. Okay, they get into the red zone in terms of attempts to score from inside the red zone. They're ranked 30th in the NFL in getting down there. Now, once they get down there, they score, but they don't get down there often enough. Their third down conversion percentage is not good enough for a real good offensive football team. And I really felt coming out of the bye week that they would solve some of those issues, and they did. They were a little better Monday night than they had been because they were 32 in the last 4 games. They were last in the league in converting third downs. And when you're not doing those things efficiently, then you're relying on getting one big play to win, which they did. And they have the skilled people that can do that. And Nick and coordinator have done a good job of creating that big play once in a while. But when you only get one big play, the margin is going to really be tight. Yeah.
What do you when you look at the team? What do you think are, let's say, 2 or 3 reasons that the offense is not doing the things that you just talked about?
Well, number one, the schedule is tougher than it was last year. We all went into the season saying this is the second toughest schedule in football. Now, the Commanders aren't what they were, so sometimes these things change as the season goes on. But I think it's never one thing. I think it's always a combination of a number of things. With the offense and the running game, I think it's the lack of continuity and health problems within the offensive line. That offensive line, that great big right guard that they had that left, someone paid him a lot of money, right? He was
Mm-hmm.
a monster of a man. And when you get that guy and then our left guard who's been a Pro Bowl quality player and our center who's a Pro Bowl quality player, they control those big guys inside. You're going to run the ball pretty well because everyone's playing those defensive ends now and that wide four. They're way out there. And if you can control those guys inside, you're going to run the ball better. They're not doing that as well right now. And since I've been here in the last few years, they've always raved about our offensive line coach, and we all know he's one of the best.
Yep.
So, he hasn't decided all of a sudden not to coach well. Okay. Plus, he has all the confidence gained from doing what he's done in the past that's been successful. So I think the number one thing is the offensive line continuity in the injury process. And then maybe just a little change in the process of utilizing the offense game day. Yeah.
You know, when the fans, uh, they always pick, they always focus on somebody. And
Yeah.
most of the time, it's not right, but they're focusing on the offensive coordinator. I think Kevin Petula is a pretty sharp guy. I got to know him, and I think he knows what he's doing. But the players got to execute plays.
Right.
So, your
That's
thoughts
true.
on the offensive coordinator?
I would say this first off, Howard. which most of our broadcasters, especially analysts, don't do a good job of really explaining why a play broke down. It wasn't the fact that the play wasn't designed well. It broke down fundamentally. Carter, a defensive left tackle for the Eagles, all of a sudden beat the hell of the guard in front of him, and he ruined the execution of the play. And that's what defensive players are supposed to do. So you've got to get the fact that many times, or a higher percentage of plays break down, not because of offensive execution, because the quality of the defensive execution. Someone whips somebody, and sometimes it's just a minor pass set. Hey, the left tackle doesn't set properly, doesn't jam properly. He lets a guy get too wide outside him and goes around and comes in behind on the quarterback. There's all those variables that take place. And there's also sometimes a change of pace. All of a sudden, they do something defensively that catches you by surprise, and you aren't programmed to handle that defense or that scheme of blitzes that all of a sudden that they hadn't shown the last few weeks, and you're not quite as well prepared, and you have to adjust during the ball game. But there's never any one reason, and I think coordinators are very much responsible for the success, and sometimes they're responsible for the failure. And because I've experienced all of that, there have been games that I did a poor job of running my own offense, and I knew it. And we won the game in spite of me, okay? And sometimes we won the game along with me, and every once in a while you won a game because you did a great job. It's just there's so many variables, and to blame one guy is tough. Now, when all of a sudden he's the only change in the staff, it's easier to point the finger. Okay.
So, the Eagles had success on RPOs. They didn't run that many. Everybody thinks they ran a lot of RPOs. Mm-hmm. I think one of the coaches told me it was like an average of 4.5 a game, mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem like they're running them as much. Do you think it's because defenses are now protecting those areas to not allow Jalen Hurts to run RPOs?
No, I think it's just a change in philosophy within the offense. Yeah. They still only have 11 guys over the other sideline of scrimmage. You can only do so many things with them. And the Eagles would love to have them always play the two deep and only have these guys up in front. They don't have that safety down there in the middle, like a seventh and eighth man inside there. And they're still not running the ball real well against that look. So that hurts them. And then that hurts them pass-wise downfield because they've got the two deep, the corners. Sometimes it's man, sometimes it's zone, sometimes it's quarter across. But it's hard to pinpoint one. In regard to an inexperienced offensive coordinator, you can be bright as hell. You can be very efficient. Some guys just do a better job game day. But it's more, I think, it's more important to what you work on all week in preparation and say, this is how we're going to attack. This is the definition of our attack against this football team. And sometimes you make great decisions. Sometimes you don't make as good of decisions. And I think the more experience you have with that responsibility, the better you get at it. The better you get it. Because nowadays, if you don't, you're the first guy gets fired. You're gone.
Well, even if you have a contract now, they still fire you. They just pay you. All right. There's been a lot of talk, and Nick Sirianni dealt with it a lot at his news conference today, being Wednesday when we're doing this live, about the decision to go for it on 4th and 6 from the 35. I think, based on factors, and I want to see what you say, I think it was the right decision. I don't know if it was the right play. Your thoughts on, and teams are going for it. They're going for it on 4th down a lot more.
Yeah, I don't know if they go for it on the last play of the game. Okay. Just that startled me, and I how I used to handle my mistake? I'd go in the press conference and say, I blew it. I really screwed up. I should have never called that. I should have called a timeout, or I shouldn't have, and I sure as hell shouldn't have run that play. And that really diffuses everybody, and the conversation stops, and you move on and get ready for the game. You've got to be very careful of trying to over-explain your mistake or why you did something. I have a hard time with my thinking. Imagine if you're the defensive coordinator. If you're the defensive coordinator, you see that it's holy mackerel. You just dumped the load on the defense, None of us would be saying anything if they completed it. And they completed 4th and 1s, but not the last play of the game.
Yeah, it was 4th and 6. All right, so here's why I think, and I haven't talked to anybody yet, but I know before the game, they asked the kicker, all right, on this end, and they practiced before the game, What do you think your limit is going this direction?
Mhm.
What is your limit going this direction? They were against the wind
Mhm.
going the direction. This is why I think it was okay. Against the wind and in cold weather. So these 60-yard field goals don't happen in cold weather.
No.
Uh, okay. So against the wind, cold weather. And I'm sure Jake Elliott and the special teams coaches said, what do you think? And it would have been a 53-yard field goal. And then if you miss it, now they have 8 yards closer to be able to get to where they needed to Green Bay to needed to where they get. So I think the reason was that Jake Elliott and the special teams coaches weren't comfortable kicking it from that distance in those conditions.
All right. Yeah.
No,
Then the other fan would say, then if you're going to go for it, why not try to throw a 4 or 5 yard completion?
yeah, right.
You get 2 yards running and have them kick a shorter field goal, regardless of the wind.
Yeah.
So no matter whatever you do as a head coach, when you do that and that play fails, it is going to be second guessed. Can you imagine what would happen to this city if they'd have gone ahead and kicked the field goal to tie it up? The opponent?
Oh yeah, can I imagine? Yeah, I know. You had to deal with it in this city. I mean, it was good for a while, and then it all
chances are I won't do it again.
Yeah. All right. It was good for a while. The tush push, I'm not a big fan of it. It works for him. That's great. I don't think it's football, and it can't be officiated. We already see that the officials they can't tell whether the player is in motion or offsides or
moving before the ball.
Yeah, right. Moving before the ball. What are your thoughts on the tush push? Because I think there's a good chance it won't be around next year. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't like the play, but I wouldn't vote against it. I'm always for people that are innovative and try new things. And, so I don't like the play. I don't think it's a football play. And I understand the reasons why the officials don't like it. And I believe it will be outlawed a year from now. But, it's a limiting play. There are a lot of ball games that are won on 4th and 1, and they fake a play action pass, or we have even done with a tush push, come with something off that tush push. All of a sudden, it's a big play, but it is limiting yourself to that 90% of the time, that one move, and no really concern defensively of a big play downfield. And I think that's a limitation too.
All right, I'm going to go back to some of your days with the Eagles. You came here in, what was it? Was it 76 after you won the
2 years ago next year?
I know. It's amazing. After you won the Rose Bowl, and Jim Murray, and as I said earlier, you will be at his. It's open to the public. His memorial service tomorrow at Villanova at 5:30. Jim Murray hired you, but from what I remember, you weren't his first choice. Now you can't get offended, but you obviously had a no.
Yeah, I wasn't the Rams' first choice when I went back either. Okay, Bobby Ross turned it down. Okay, he went to Detroit.
Wow, this is a story I remember. The coach at Harvard. I don't know how they got locked into him. Guy named I think it was
Turner was offered the job too. Joe teased me all the time.
Wow,
he always threw that at me. I could have had your job.
So you took the job. Did you think about it, or how long did it take you to think about taking the job to coach the Philadelphia Eagles?
Well, they called me on a Monday after the Rose Bowl. I was sitting at my desk talking to the number one quarterback prospect in the United States. And he had watched us play the Rose Bowl, and beat Ohio State. So he was impressed. We were recruiting like hell. And the phone rang. It was Leonard Tost and Jim Murray, combination there. And they wanted to talk to me about becoming the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm just really not interested. I'm really not interested. I said, I think I have a chance to win a national championship here. Hell, we just beat the number one team in the country, and we can build on that. And so that's where I went. So I hung up, went on about the day. The staff meeting that evening because now we're organizing recruiting processes the first week after the bowl game. And they all said, I'll tell them, says, Coach, you're crazy. I was making $30,000 a year. Okay. And you're crazy. That might
30,000 at UCLA.
Yeah. I made 27.5 my first.
Wow.
30,000 my second, and I was going to 32.5 my third. Okay. But anyway, that's what it was. So they said, you really ought to look into it. So I thought about it on Tuesday. I called George Allen. I called Chuck Knox, and both of those guys said, Dick, for criminy sakes, owners don't call coaches up very often and offer them opportunities to be evaluated to be their next head coach. You should at least go visit with them. So that Thursday, I called Jimmy, I think, on that Wednesday, and we had about a 9 o'clock meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Leonard had a suite there. And I went there and met them on that Thursday morning, and I spent probably 2 to 3 hours with him. And I left there thoroughly impressed with Jim Murray. Okay, yeah. Leonard didn't do a lot of talking, but Jimmy could sell a drowning man a bucket of water. That guy, you know how he is, and he comes across so sincere and so passionate about Philadelphia and the fans and what the potential could be in there. So I said, all right, Jimmy. I didn't have an agent, so Leonard Toast hired Ed Hookstratton, who knew me because he used to travel with the Ram team when I was the offensive
Right.
coordinator and special teams. So he knew me. So he hired him. I didn't pay for him to build a contract for me to come to Philadelphia, and I signed it and stayed here.
Okay, so you made that year, your last year at UCLA, you made 30,000 a year, correct?
Right.
Okay. What did the Eagles pay you the first year of your contract?
50,000 a year and the house payment each month.
And the what each month?
House payment on your house.
Well,
and country club fees.
oh my
That was
God.
an extravagant. I had deferred compensation. What it really amounted to, after 27 years, I made $1.7 million coaching the Eagles. I thought I was making money. Now Carol didn't because she had to pay the bills, okay, and 3 kids in college. But that's how all in it. I was one of the higher paid coaches.
Wow. When you think about it now, Nick Sirianni's right around 15 million. College coaches are getting over 10 million. It's just absolutely insane. Well, the college game, I'm not a big fan of what's going on with the players right
None of
now.
us are. None of us are.
It's going to ruin. Well, first, the mid majors are done with a chance to win a national championship. It's over, and it's who spends the most money. The SEC spends a lot, and they're going to have like 5 teams in the playoff championship. I think it's a joke. But what has changed too in college? The quarterbacks, and you were a quarterback at what, Calistoga High School? Is that what
Yeah,
it was?
of course, there were only 103rd kids in the whole school, so it was easy to be first string. All right.
Okay, so you're a
It wasn't
quarterback.
very good either.
What's the difference in the quarterbacks now coming out of college compared to the quarterbacks when you were coaching in the NFL?
Well, first off, the schemes. The college coaches are far more sophisticated offensively with the schemes they use today. A lot of the offenses in the NFL have moved up from fine coaches in college football. You know that. You were just talking about the run pass option plays and the RPO.
Right.
It all came out of college football. And I think that's a big difference. When we beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, we were running a wishbone in some pro football passing game within, not the wishbone, the veer offense with 2 split backs and 2 wide receivers. And every once in a while you change up and got in a slot. Okay. So that you're exposing that quarterback to a wider variety of opportunities to display what he can do. And what are they doing? They're recruiting the kind of kid that can both run and pass. And there are more kids coming into college today that can throw the ball real well. There's passing camps all summer. Kids start throwing the ball in junior high. It's become a big thing. In LA, they have huge summer leagues on touch football and passing.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole game is more sophisticated. So the quarterback is far more ready to enter an NFL team today. And I'll guarantee you, there's some some college quarterbacks that come in and they say, I like the scheme I was in college better than the one I'm in the NFL. I'm really impressed with what they do in college football today.
You know what? Okay, so now let me deal. You made the playoffs your second year with you, third year. Okay, and you made it because the Giants coach went brain dead.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from you. I mean, Joe Pisardi's got a kneel.
Yeah, that's the miracle of Meadowlands. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The miracle in the Meadowlands. And Herm Edwards, when he was on, told me the story. You didn't even see him score
No, I didn't. I
because
was
you were
taking my
talking to your other play.
headset off. I think I was talking to Chuck Bednarik or something. I was so disappointed. And that, yeah, we weren't as good a football team within that game as we had been playing, and the Giants outplayed us really. But the game was close enough that one play could win it for either side. And I thought we had lost the football game. And then when they snap the ball, it comes out. Frank LeMaster is really the guy that caused the fumble. He came back in that inside A gap there and whapped the quarterback and Zonka when they were handing the ball off, and it goes back out. And Pisarcik hit him on the inside right hip with the football rather than deep in the belly. And all of a sudden, there's the ball, and Herman's coming off the corner. He sees it and runs it in. Then I see it, a big pile off to the left here. Guys running and jumping, even guys in coat and ties that were on our administrative were jumping on the pile.
And you didn't see it because you were turned away from the
I was
play,
just
right?
turning away. The game's over. I was just turning away. I saw the pile, and when Herman entered the end zone, okay, but I didn't see exactly what happened. Yeah, and who wasn't there? It was Leonard Toast. He was in Houston, Texas, having a valve repaired in his heart during that game. I remember going in the locker room and calling him. I said, "This is a good way to test that new valve in your heart, Leonard."
All right.
That really gave us added on. We won some games after that, but that added up to the 9th win.
All right. As a coach, AJ Brown is a really good player. I think Devontae Smith is slightly better as a wide receiver, but that's my opinion. I don't know if it's others. They're both very good. However, AJ Brown can't help himself with social media. And again today, or in the last couple of days, just a snide comment. And we're going to play it for people later, where he's questioning again what's going on there. If you were the coach, don't you have to say, and maybe it's impossible nowadays with these players, enough. I don't want to hear any more. Play the game. We're just playing to win the game. And if you're part of this team, that's the end. What would you do as a head coach?
Well, in those days they didn't have social media.
Right. I knew that.
So my comments were always to the players: is never overload your ass with your mouth. Okay. And we sold that concept. If you have a complaint or concern, you come to me, you come to yours, and we'll solve those issues. But kids thought differently then. They just thought differently. And we almost train players today to think independently like that, especially at those wide receiver positions. But now there's 3 and 4 and 5 receivers on the field catching the ball, and you divide up those pass attempts, and so they don't get as many. But last year he didn't get how many catches did he make last year? 60 something.
Yeah, well, he was like top
There
10
were
in the
only
end.
2 passes because when you're a real good running team, the receivers aren't have as many passes, but usually their yards per reception are going to be great. And that's what the Eagles have done a great job of, creating the big play. And I think you'll see them do that more. But guys like, sometimes I used to say this, and I'm not always right. The best player for a position is not always the best player for a team. Okay. And I sincerely believed that. I sincerely sold it. And there were times that I executed my power within the organization to eliminate a player that wasn't a best player for the team. Yeah. But it wasn't as public. Now these guys burp in the huddle, they burp in the sideline. Everyone knows about it. Hell, you were standing on the sideline for all those years. I'm sure you've heard a lot of things you've never said.
Oh, yeah. No question. There's no question. But I'll say one thing. I never saw AJ go after a player and complain, a quarterback or somebody else, and complain if he was upset.
Mm-hmm.
But the social media, don't press send. That's the message I'd give. Hey, AJ, my advice, don't press send. That's the first thing. And
Right.
Hey, listen, we're winning games. If we were losing games, then I'd say, okay, we have some challenges and we have some issues. But they're not losing games.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be the way that AJ Brown wants it, but they're not losing games. So he just can't help himself. He just
No,
can't
and,
help himself.
let me say this. My great receiver was Harold Carmichael. Could you ever imagine him?
No.
Okay. It's a personality type. That doesn't make A.J. Brown a bad person. He's just, that's the way he is. That's the way our society is. In some ways, that's what we're teaching them to do, teaching them to be. Is it a negative? It can. I think even sometimes players get tired of it. I can remember in my locker room, God bless Jerry Sizemore, he would come to me sensing there was an issue within the team, and he'd say, Coach, we have a problem on this team. Would you like me to solve it, or do you want to know about it? And I would say, Jerry, you solve it. If you can't, come to me. And they never came to me.
Wow.
A strong, big, tough man like that would solve an issue. And we didn't have many of them. First, many times you eliminate them in training camp. But everyone says they love A.J. Brown. So I think you've just got to ignore it if he's on your right and get him the football. Hey, you're paying him a lot of money to make 14 yards. Okay. Get him the football. Yeah.
$32 million he's getting paid this year. All right. So let me go back to the year you won the Super Bowl you won was with the St. Louis Rams.
Right.
And the start of that year was not very good because you lost your quarterback.
Right.
And I'll never forget that. And obviously, you were very upset. And here comes this guy by the name of Kurt Warner, who played in the Arena League or whatever league he played in. And you ended up winning the Super Bowl. Can you remember? It was, I guess there's a lot of times now it's not as much because you know who the good teams are. How unexpected when you think at the beginning of the year and Trent Green gets hurt, he's out for the year, and now you have this guy named Kurt Warner. Can you remember? And then you end up winning the Super Bowl.
Howard, obviously, I've been asked that question many times. But I can remember it like it was yesterday. And I'm 89 years old, so I don't remember a lot of things, but I remember that. And I remember coming out of training, saying to the president of our team in a closed meeting, I said, John Shaw, this is going to be a very good football team. And he said, Coach, all my coaches normally have told me that in years past. This never happened. I says, well, John, trust me, because we worked so hard the first 2 years. Howard, remember those. The people that controlled how long you were on the field, how many double days you had, how many contact sessions you have, were all controlled by the coaches. No one interfered with you at all. Double day. For 2 years at the Rams, we never took the pads off until Saturday, the day before the game, for 16 games. Okay, for 16 games.
So, you can't do that now.
No, you can't. And it's better for the player.
Right.
It's a more healthy situation for the player. But we developed a lot of kids that were average players that made them better. And the great players, we put them in the Hall of Fame because we surrounded them with more people that could help them be as good as they had the ability to be. Did I know that Kurt Warner could play at that level? No, but I thought he could play. And I'll tell you why. I'm on the practice field now every day as a head coach, not running my own offense, coaching my own quarterbacks, calling my own plays, on the practice field, game or anything like that. I had been out of it for 14 years, and I knew I couldn't go back and be what I was. So I knew what I had to be. So on the practice field every day, I'm watching players. That's what I'm concentrating. I'm not watching on what we're doing the ball. I'm watching players. Okay. And I kept walking off the field, and he's running the third team offense he's the scout team quarterback, running the opponent's offense. And I'd walk off the field. I'd be shaking my head. I'd say, God, either our defense is terrible or this kid can play. Howard on the practice field, third quarterback running the opponent offense, runs the play off like a 12 by 14 card. And everyone sees what they're supposed to do, and they circle where you want them to throw the ball. And, of course, the defense has the coverage. They know what the card is, okay?
Right.
So Kurt would go back, he'd see it, and he'd throw it to the open guy. He wouldn't throw it to the guy they wanted him to. And you'd say, Kurt, that's what he wanted to go there. He said, Coach, he's covered. And he could see it, and he could feel it, and he could decipher information and respond correctly like that. So that was a very, very positive sign. And then we moved him to the backup quarterback for that reason the next year. And when Trent went down, Trent was a 27 for 31 in the passes thrown in preseason games. And on the practice field, he was just like that. And Mike Martz was doing a beautiful job with the pass offense, and Al Saunders and those guys with the pass off. We were really good. Isaac Bruce in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Marshall Faulk in the Hall of Fame. Kurt Warner now in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt's in the finals for the Hall of Fame the last 10 years. All receivers. And the other kids. But I knew he could play. I did not know he could play at that level. And, and I don't think he did either, but he believed he could.
How did teams miss on him? If he was that good, how did they miss on him?
Well, he didn't start he didn't start until his senior in college. Okay. Remember, he went to Green Bay and he got cut because he was immature. He didn't have a lot of confidence in himself. And I remember Steve Mariucci saying that they put him in the huddle. He couldn't call a play. See, he didn't want to go back in it. He was just so immature. So he goes into the Arena League. And what's that do? It teaches you to throw the ball in 2 seconds. Boom, 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 accurately. And that helped him. But what he had, you almost can't coach. There's some people can see things and slow it all down. Other people see the same coverage, the same schemes, and it all gets too fast for them. And they forget where everybody's going. Kurt knew where everybody was on every snap, and it didn't take them but a split second to recognize what he had to do with the ball. After that, no quarterback in the history of the NFL has played his first 7 games of his career as a starter as efficiently as Kurt Warner.
Well, I mean, he was amazing. If it wasn't for one mistake, he would have won 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
That game against Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
Yeah. He would have won 2 Super Bowls. All right.
He's a great human being. He is
very nice.
His ego is in line, his attitude, his commitment to the communities, and that I don't think there's any way you could ever say a bad word about the guy.
It's unbelievable. All right. I want to deal with the teams. I was talking to? I forget who it was. I've had Bruce Arians on and a couple different people.
Remember him at Temple?
Oh, yes, that's where I got to know him at Temple. Yeah, that was his first head coaching job, was Temple in like 82 or 83. Yeah. All right. The teams that the Eagles may have the most difficulty against if they faced them in the playoffs. When you look at the NFC, forget about the Super Bowl right now. You look at, they got to beat these teams to get to the Super Bowl. What teams do you think would be the toughest for them to play?
Right now, the best team I have seen play more than once, St. Louis, the Los Angeles Rams. I was going to say St. Louis. The Los Angeles Rams. They're a really good football team. And you talk about definition of purpose on offense. I mean, when they decide they're going to get Puka the ball 8 times, he gets the ball 8 times, maybe 12 and only caught 8. Mm-hmm. But they have great definition to what they're going to do with the ball offensively. And it doesn't matter which team they're playing. They're going to get them the ball. And the defense has come on. They've done a great job of drafting. It's a young defensive line. Mm-hmm. They're a very, very well-coached football team. I've been on their practice field. I have watched them work. Hey, I've watched them work on Saturday, okay? And I remember walking away. In fact, I walked off with the head coach. And I said, Coach, that's as fine a Saturday football practice executed by a head coaching staff and his staff as I've ever been on the field with. It's just outstanding coaching. And, yeah, he's good. So it looks like Seattle's going to be tough.
Okay? Well, Matthew Stafford, first of all, quarterbacks can play a long time. Yeah. But at his age and what he's doing is phenomenal. It just, the Eagles were lucky because that could have been the tiebreaker. Lucky they won that game when they played here. Detroit plays here. They get another break there. Detroit's a pretty good team. Would you think Detroit's the second best team in the NFC?
I would say, because I haven't really seen Seattle yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Seen,
and Sam Darnold's playing his ass off.
Quarterback that's been on 4 teams. There are certain coaches within certain schemes, whoever he has playing quarterback is going to play well. Hey, look at the 49ers. Okay, they didn't play well last week. Not at all. But what they're playing with a backup quarterback that was a first-round pick a long time ago, and all of a sudden he's playing as well as the first-round quarterback, what's his name? Anyway, as their first stringer was playing before he got hurt. So
right.
The scheme and the coaching of it makes a big difference. Jalen Hurts, his quarterback efficiency, he's up in the top 5. So he's playing extremely well. We're very fortunate, and none of those guys can run like he can. Yeah,
Yeah,
if
I
he
mean,
can't run real well like he did last week, have a huge play a couple of times. But
yeah, you're gonna. Well, it depends on who you play. I mean, matchups are, and in most cases, the way it looks right now, they'll probably have to play here in Philadelphia, unless Seattle. They're the wild card because they don't play them. They could win the division. I think the Rams, obviously, I don't think the Rams have played them yet.
they're
But if
playing
the
this weekend.
oh, is that okay? That's
This
a big
weekend.
game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought the 49er game because I have great confidence in and respect for the 49er coaching staff. And the Rams kicked the hell out of them. Yeah.
Uh,
So, everybody has a bad game once in a while. Look at Buffalo going to Miami. You know, I can remember my last year in coaching, I took a real good football team to Buffalo and got beat by a team that only won 4 games. Bad coaching on my part. It does happen. And that's usually a frame of mind. Well, these guys can't beat us. And players all week long think that no matter what you say to
mhm.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the playoffs. I mean, the Eagles have a tough schedule.
They do
Chicago's
have
better
tough
than
stuff.
okay, they're going to have to play Detroit here, Chicago here. So they play two of the tougher teams here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think Chicago's a great team. I
what's
think
that?
they're Chicago's won some ball games, and I follow
They're
that
not a
program
great team, but
closely.
they're good. They're better than they were.
Oh yeah, no question. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, those are the kind of games you got to watch out for.
Yeah. Hey,
That they're better than they were. But the
well, hey, remember
Rams,
who beat us? The Giants. You got to watch out for anybody in this
I
thing.
know it's just, but the Rams, when you really break it down, they're probably the
Yeah,
toughest team.
I
Quarterback's
agree.
playing great. I think the coach is terrific. So they've done a lot of good things. But well, hey, listen, we'll see. But it's a long way. Wow, next year is 50 years from when you were hired as the Eagles head coach.
Yeah.
Is that amazing? That's
You
amazing.
know, it is amazing. It is amazing. It just one of my sons just experienced his 41st wedding anniversary. We bought him as a kid, a senior in high school.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
and here he is celebrating his 41st wedding anniversary, and I said, "Wow, does time fly?"
You know what? When you were in Philadelphia, I know, I don't know if it would, well, I was tough at times, but the
Oh
media,
no, shit, buddy! Excuse the French.
yeah, I was tough on you. We didn't see eye to eye at the
I
beginning.
probably deserved it.
Yeah, well, maybe you realized that
Yeah,
I was
I do
right a
better
lot of the
now.
time,
Believe me.
right a lot of times. But now Nick Sirianni, he got a little testy at his news conference
Good
today. I
for
don't know.
him.
Uh, well, but they asked him legitimate questions, but he doesn't like to answer anything. And now, I guess that's just the way it is. But hey, it is what it is. And if you're going to be a coach in Philadelphia, you got to put up with that.
Any city, really. Howard, the coaches today have more media people to please and more media people evaluating and interpreting everything he says 50 times harder than it ever was when
Oh,
I was coaching. I mean,
unbelievable.
it isn't even close. So
It's
I feel
crazy.
sorry for those guys because a coach could say something meaning something, but the person listening and writing may interpret it differently, and then he's obviously going to write it the way he had or express himself the way he interpreted it, and maybe not the meaning. And we all as coaches, you as a great guy in your media world, sometimes you just say something right away. You say, "No, I shouldn't have said that.
Well,
I shouldn't have said that."
the reality is, um, sometimes, and I don't know that uh, there's certain media people that might have some insight
Yeah.
better than what some of these other guys
Oh yeah,
have. And,
you
and then
always
if you
had
ask,
secret guys. I knew that. You always had someone snooping around giving you information.
what's that?
I said I always felt you had information that no one else had.
I did.
That's true, isn't it?
That didn't make you happy. I know it didn't make
Well,
you
I
happy.
learned because of John Wooden. I got so I never read the media. I
Uh,
still don't really. And anything with my name in it and that. John Wooden told me that a long time ago, and 90% of the time I followed what he taught me in 1974. Okay.
all right. Well, um, I will see you on Thursday, November
Tomorrow night.
13th, 5:30. Public is invited. the memorial service for Jim Murray, the man that hired you as the Eagles head coach, along with the owner Leonard Toast. But Jim Murray obviously had a lot of input in that.
Yeah.
That
He
is
was really, he was the guy.
okay. You'll be doing the eulogy for Jim Murray tomorrow. Thursday, which tomorrow as we speak,
Yeah.
it's at Villanova, and the public is invited. And Dick, thank you. I will have a
That's the Hall of Fame one. We only made about 85 cases of that. It cost us a fortune to make it. It really,
well,
it
it's kind of
wasn't from the
cool.
normal vineyard where we get our grapes. We got those grapes from Beckstoffer Vineyard, which is,
And how's the vineyard doing, and how's the business doing?
well, the business is down for everybody. The whole wine industry in the United States is down. This year, we left a lot of grapes on the vine. They weren't picked because there was no wineries that wanted them. And I have one friend that's a major vineyard management guy in Sonoma County. He left 2,000 tons of grapes on the vine, didn't pick them. He normally picks about
Wow.
16,000 tons. Okay.
So so
The market is way down. Young people aren't drinking as much wine or wine at all. They're drinking these seltzers and these canned deals,
right,
reinforce, what do they call it? That
but
marijuana enforced type thing. And anyway, that's what. And the older people aren't drinking as much wine.
okay, but people
They
can
say
have it.
it's cyclical. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, we
People can
never
have
made
it.
any money anyway.
It's different now. People can have it shipped to them, where before they
Yeah.
couldn't have it shipped to them, right?
Well, I have 105 Philadelphia Wine Club members right now in
Oh,
Philadelphia.
okay. So is there a website that they can go to, vermeilwines.com? Is there?
Google VermeilWines.com.
Okay, and they can catch it there. And Dick, I'm going to leave you with this because I can laugh about it now, and I hope you can laugh about it. I remember September 20th, 1982.
Okay.
It was my first day in television, and I was at the head table at the Maxwell Club. It was a
Oh,
luncheon,
yeah, I remember that.
and you buried my ass.
And Tommy Brookshire was here. Remember Tom? And there was
Yes.
another guy in sports that he was mad at, so he ripped him, and he set me into a mood. And I was mad at you, not because of what you said about me. I'm driving in, and I listened to you just ripping Billy Cunningham. Okay,
I'm friends with
so
him now
here's
too.
my chance to rip you in front of 500 people at the Maxwell Club.
you, you
Yeah.
did. You said, don't listen to him. He talking out of his ass, or his overloading his ass with his mouth. It was you buried me.
Well, no one misunderstood me.
Yeah, no, they did. They all. Hey, my first day in television, I was working radio, and it was my first day. And I laugh about it today. And at the time, I said, "Hey,
I have many times.
you got to suck it up." But we laugh about it now. But I do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Look
And
forward
it's
to it.
just good luck with now people starting to order more wine.
All righty. Take care. Thank you
All
for
right.
the opportunity to say hello to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and thank you. All right,
All right.
Dick
Bye-bye.
Vermeil. I'll never forget that. Well, obviously, my first day in television was September 20th, 1982. I went to Channel 3, and they hired me. I never worked TV in my life, but I was very successful on the radio on an FM station before that. So it was crazy, but I was shocked. But I sucked it up, and I mean, I said some things that he worked players hard, but whatever. But he didn't like the fact that I had information. All right, we are going. There's a lot more to talk about. And AJ Brown made another comment, kind of vague, but it just stirs up things. Nick Sirianni got a little testy today at the news conference. I'm going to play some of that for you. But and then I can't let the fools go for the people that think the Sixers are actually good. And will they win some games? Yeah, they'll win some games, but they haven't beaten. Out of their 7 wins, they have 5 wins against losing teams, and one team's only 1 game over 500. But we'll talk about that. All right, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, as always, Jeff Stillwell. Stillwell Financial Advisors. Jeff can help you invest your money in the changing times. World's crazy now. I mean, the world's crazy. United States is crazy. Everything's crazy. But he can help you. I know he can. He knows his stuff. Get 732-343-0813. Jeff is a terrific presenting sponsor. All right. One thing I'm going to play, and I want you to digest this a little bit. It's quick, and just listen to it. I'm going to. I want to play. Well, before you get to AJ Brown, I want to tell you our winner last week of the Chickies and Pete's, last week being Saturday, Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. The question was simple. I'm going to have another question for you, and I got another prize for you to win. The question was Mark Lawrence's, was pretty simple if you were listening. The first college football team that he picked on Saturday was Kentucky. I believe they were a winner. And Charles BMAC, I hope I pronounced that right, Charles. You win the Chickies and Pete's gift certificate. One of the people with the correct answer that submitted it to my website, and we selected you at random. And thank you. All right, the AJ Brown comment. He was on a streaming service, a podcast somewhere, and it was John Madden stuff. It was the Madden games and all that, and you listen to it, but he just kind of puts it out, puts something out there again. Let's listen to AJ Brown.
Promise you might get 200, and I ain't even trolling.
Hey, if you got me on fantasy, man, get rid of me.
And he's not getting targets, I think is what the guy said. But AJ says, if you got me on fantasy, get rid of me. That just stirs up more nonsense. And Nick Sirianni had to deal with it today being Wednesday at his news conference. We're going to get to that shortly. But first, I want to tell you about a great deal at Audi Westchester. They always got some great stuff going on. Beautiful showroom, plenty of inventory, 3.99% financing up to 72 months on the redesigned A5 and the redesigned A5 sedan. 3.99% is really good. But how about this? 1.99% financing up to 72 months on the Q5, which is a very popular, very good model, the Q5 SUV. And that's 1.99% financing. This is not going to last long. These are special incentives right now. And go into Audi Westchester, work out your deal, and then say, I'd like to get the Claudio 500. That's an extra. Work out your deal, then say, I'd like to get the Claudio 500, an extra 500 off of your deal on a car at Audi. 1421 Wilmington Pike. And check them out, AudiWestchester.com. Also, you want to do some things in your property, your backyard. You want to transform it a little bit. You want to do some things, make it look nice. You want to build a pool. Piazza Property Pros. Remember the name. 25 years of experience. Don't subcontract. Top-notch craftsmanship. Unmatched customer service. All the work, because they don't sublet, a subcontract, is done by their own skilled people. Excavation, hardscaping, fencing, landscaping, pool maintenance, whatever it is, build a pool. Just give them a call. Exceptional results. They'll work within your budget. Give them a call for a free consultation. 610-566-2608. That's 610-566-2608. All right. You heard AJ Brown. It's enough already. It's enough already. It really is enough already. AJ, we don't need any more. All right. We don't we don't need any more. Here's Patty always jumps in. AJ Brown just needs to be quiet and stay off of social media. We've talked about that before. I'll say it again and again. He is a good player, but his nonsense, nonsense, is that what you call it? It is nonsense. His nonsense is just a distraction to a team preparing for the next game. Yep. It's just crazy. I see a comment here. Toast only paid $50K a year. Yeah, he needed the money for the tables. No, that's all they paid in the NFL. That's what Dick Vermeil's first contract was. All right. Nick Sirianni. Couple of comments, a couple of questions today. And, he's asked about the 4th and 6, obviously. I agree with the decision to go for it, because of the conditions. And I don't think Jake Elliott was comfortable in kicking what would have been a 53-yard field goal. And then if you miss it, it's at the spot where you kicked it. So you give him 8 more yards. It's 8 yards back now when you kick the field goal. But let's just we'll lead into it and I'll explain it. Hey, Joe, let's give him the first Nick Sirianni comment. We okay. We have it there, and we're going to get it for you. But he was not happy with the questions, and you'll hear in one of the comments. Joe, just let me know when you're ready. So he. Oh, okay. Okay. But the question was about the 4th and 6. Again, the reason, and I said this to Dick Vermeil. Somebody says, Jason says, why not just punt? You're on the 35-yard line. At best, you're going to pick up 20 yards if you're lucky. It's not. I just throw a short pass, do something. It just. George says he leased. Leased. Did you misspell that, George? Leased him from his fantasy team. I guess he got rid of him. But I wouldn't have punted. I would have gone for a shorter pass and tried to get the first down, but I guess they tried to surprise him with a deep ball. But the conditions weren't right and they weren't comfortable. And I know they always talk, Jake Elliott talks with the special teams guys, and they always talk to them and find out, you comfortable with this? If we have to kick it from here. But going for it was okay. I don't know that I like the play call, but going for it was okay. So, yeah, okay, all right. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni if we got it there.
I knew exactly what the play was that we were calling, and that was run in that moment.
So they didn't check?
I knew exactly what the play was in that moment, what we called, and what was
I guess
and what
the
they
greater
happened.
issue is why in the first 59 minutes was AJ never targeted beyond.
Were we in a debate, or is that what? Or
Well, I think that's a fair question to ask.
what's the question?
But why wasn't AJ targeted beyond the first 2 drives, and it took until that moment for you guys to throw to him deep?
Yeah, again, games. If you look at the game and how the game went, there's a lot of plays in that game that are going to him that, for different reasons, don't. For instance, Smitty's touchdown. That play is going to AJ. They took it away, and he threw it over the top. You can't look at stats and just say, this is what's happening. You can't paint the picture that way. I know that's sometimes is all the information that you guys may have, but you can't look at it that way and just say, here's how the game is playing out. Like, there are reasons and different things. A.J. Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, so of course we're trying to get him involved in the game every single time. Sometimes it goes like it did in the Rams game or the Vikings game, and sometimes it goes like it did in this last game.
All right, so he's not. He wasn't happy with the question. People question the play call, and then they question why A.J. Brown wasn't targeted from the beginning of the game till the end of the game. And he gave one explanation, and AJ said it after the game, and he should, understand that the coverage didn't allow him to get the play that was called when Devontae Smith scored the touchdown. One drive, they had one good drive. All right, and then towards the end of the news conference, there was there was more concerning AJ Brown. Let's hear the head coach.
I'm close to being done answering these questions with this. Like, he's working hard, and he is a big part of this game plan, and it'll be a big part of the game plan going forward. And he's working like crazy when he's here, and I'm excited to have him.
He's done answering those questions. Done answering the A.J. Brown questions. He's going to have to answer them, because there's going to be games where he's not going to be targeted as much. You know what I would do to frustrate him if I'm the other team? I would just double cover him the whole time. Then you only have single coverage on Devontae Smith, but nonetheless, just to get AJ all bent out of shape. But yeah, it just, as long as you're winning games, it's like, that's why I don't care about quarterback ratings. I don't care about where you stand in the MVP voting or the odds and all that nonsense. It's about winning games. It's not about the other things. And too many players get caught up. JC, I don't care who the hell scores or catches. Just keep winning. That's the name of the game, is just to win. All right. A couple other things I want to mention, and I'm going to give you a question. I'm going to give you a question to win a Jeremiah Trotter autographed Eagles hat, Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Senior. I'm going to ask the question. If you answer correctly, and we will select somebody at random because I'm sure there'll be more than one correct answer, have it in by Friday at midnight, November 14th, and we will announce it on the Saturday morning show. And obviously, we'll have Mark Lawrence on and talk about a bunch of things live on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You can find them on all the social media platforms. And if you subscribe to YouTube, it's notified as soon as we go on. All right. So you'll be notified. All right. The Sixers. I think we're starting to see that Joel Embiid, and I've been saying this for a few years, why he got the contract he got is unbelievable. He gave him that many years, $63 million a year. And he's not going to play. He won't even come close to 40 games. He's now going to be and it's his other knee that's sore. It wasn't the knee that he had the procedure done on in the offseason. It's his other knee soreness. This guy's never going to be what he was. He can't rebound that well anymore. He turns the ball over. He's not good against a team that runs a quick pace. He's just not that. He's okay. He's okay as a player. He can shoot. He can score a little bit, but give me a break. They're not going anywhere. I saw that bozo on ESPN, Kendrick Perkins. Is that his name? Kendrick Perkins. Uh, you know, he has him in the mix if Embiid comes back. First of all, Embiid's not going to come back and play anywhere near that. I think their rookie Edgecomb looks like a nice player, but he has not shot it well I think it's been the last 4 games. He was 2 for 11 in the last game, even though he hit a shot that got lucky and bounced in to help him win the game. It's crazy. He's got to start shooting better as well. But Embiid, they should have gotten rid of him a couple of years ago. And I hate to say, I never say I told you so, right? Okay, I'm saying I told you so. By the way, I want to thank people that listen to the podcast. I saw a bunch of things in media, their media companies that send out information news on the media. 2 major radio companies in America, their revenue declined in the third quarter for 2. Radio is in trouble. And it's kind of sad, but it's in trouble. It's just people listen to podcasts more and more and more. And radio is it's really kind of a dying industry. I wouldn't be surprised if the old news station goes artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has a personality. I call it the woman. It's AI. She's actually got a personality. She's got a personality. And why can't the news be written by AI and reported by AI? I'm going to be surprised if it's not done a little bit in TV as well. But I saw on another company that does podcasts, their revenue is up like 22%. But whatever. It's the wave of the future. And I want to thank you for being a part of it. All right. The question to win the Jeremiah Trotter autographed Eagles hat, Jeremiah Trotter Senior. He's, I believe he's on the Wall of Fame for the Eagles. Trotter's had some really, really good years with the Eagles. Here's the question, and it's a 2-part question. Dick Vermeil, his last year at UCLA, he won the Rose Bowl. He said what his salary was at UCLA. And then I asked him what his salary was the first year with the Eagles. So I need both answers. What his salary was per year at UCLA, the year he won the Rose Bowl, and what his salary was the first year he came to the Eagles as their head coach. And that's going to be close to 50 years ago next year. Wow. It's been a long time. And he's sharp as a tack, boy. I'll tell you, when we had him on the night, it was fun. It's always fun talking to him. Sharp as a tack. And I will see him tomorrow, and you can see him tomorrow. It's going to give the eulogy. It's a Jim Murray uh, uh, memorial service. It's at Villanova, at the Pavilion at Villanova. It's open to the public. 5:30 is when it starts. So if you want to come, you are invited. It is open to the public. I see. So maybe I'm going to be there. Maybe I'll see you there tomorrow. And JC, it's a shame, honestly, what's happened to Embiid, and nobody wants Paul George back at all. Guess what? Counting this year, you got 3 years of Paul George stealing money. I'm telling you, that's a that is a real crime what he's doing. But you know what? Daryl Morey signs him to a 4-year contract. What was he thinking? Well, he doesn't think most of the time. It's just he doesn't think most of the time anyway. Some of the deals that he made gave Joel Embiid a long-term contract, $63 million a year. Unbelievable. But Sixers aren't going to go anywhere. I'm telling you, the Flyers, I'm going to make a statement because we'll see what the Phillies do in the offseason. I didn't bring up the Phillies tonight, but I'll say this. And Ray Dittinger said it on the last show, and I agree with him. I think the window for the Phillies to win a World Series is pretty much closed. Again, I'm going to see what they do. I don't know if they're going to sign Schwarber, but if they don't, they have some money to sign somebody else. I saw some rumor. I don't even want to mention the rumors on social media because all kinds of names. It's crazy. It's all kinds of names out there. What's this? If it was your choice, would you still be? It was a spelling error. Still be in radio? Yeah, but I was kind of weaning myself off it. Would I have done podcast? It kind of helped me get into this chapter. So if I saw what was going on, I knew the writing was on the wall. But I appreciate, even though I appreciate the comment, Pete. But whatever. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. You have the question for a chance to win. Let me finish my Phillies statement. The Phillies window, I think, is closing. I think Tony agrees with me. The next, not including the Eagles, because the Eagles, I think, will win a championship before anyone. I don't know when it'll be. I don't know if it'll be this year or another year. They'll win a championship before these others. I think the Flyers, excluding the Eagles, will win a championship in this city before the Phillies or the Sixers. That's a bold statement because of the Phillies, not bold because of the Sixers. But I think they're really going in the right direction. Give the Flyers some credit. Again, thanks for joining us on the show tonight. We will be back on Saturday. I appreciate it. Thanks to Dick Vermeil and Dick Vermeil Wines. Good guy. He's very conscientious of his wines. It's the holidays. We're going to get some wine people here just to get us ready for some wine for the holidays. All right. Thank you. Thanks to Joe, again, Jemmy, for the technical part of this fine show. And thanks to Tony Anastasia for all the good work with the graphics and all the other things that she does to help put stuff on my website and on my social media. And it's a good thing. And thank you for joining the Howard Eskin Show.